Coming up on DITV News.
I think the standards for what's acceptable care seems like it's so low.
You want things living in your soil. It needs to be its own little community, essentially.
And later, a look inside at the current state of Iowa farming.
The Hawkeyes look ahead to the Big Ten Championship against the Wolverines.
The snow may be melting, but the cold is here to stay.
All that and more coming up on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News.
Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in live to DITV and KRUI 89.7 FM. I'm Johnny Valtman.
And I'm AJ Rooster.
The University of Iowa Community Home Care Services are being sued. A mother of a former patient and a former community home care employee are suing the company due to a data breach that occurred in March of 2023. They are suing the company for negligence, breach of implied contract, and unjust enrichment, among others. They allege the company maintained their personal information in a reckless manner while not meeting reasonable standards to their cybersecurity protocols. Both want the court to force community home care to perform regular database security checks, create security training programs, and collaborate with third-party auditors in the future. And AJ, being from the land of 10,000 lakes, you're used to the cold and the snow.
Yeah, I mean, the snow normally comes around this time in Minnesota, if not earlier, and then only hit the lakes, do a little ice fishing, and then go out snowmobiling. So I'm excited.
And we got DITV's Grace Lanthrop, who is here in the studio with our forecast for the rest of the week. Grace, is this cold weather going to stick around?
Yeah, guys, this cold spell looks to be here to stay. As we look at the forecast for today, expect some sun with a high of 43 degrees, but tonight will dip down to 22 degrees, so be sure to bundle up if you plan on going out tonight. Tomorrow will be similar with temperatures ranging around the high 30s and low 40s. As we transition to the rest of the week, we'll be seeing lots of clouds, but thankfully no snow flurries, so no need to break out the shovels for this week. If you're looking to escape this chilly weather this weekend, it is expected to be sunnier over in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship on Saturday. Now, Johnny, I know that you are a big fan of the cold and the snow, but it looks like the snow is starting to slowly melt away for now.
I'm a little bit sad, Grace, but there's going to be plenty of time for snow. It is only November, and the fact we're getting snow this early, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, if it's anything like last year, I'm sure there'll be plenty of snow once spring rolls around.
And so Kara Doolin, she took an inside look at the Iowa farmland because this snow helps during these frigid winter months and how this can impact Iowa agriculture.
Even as winter weather begins to set in, at Iowa farms, there's still plenty going on underneath the snow. Winter snow gives farmland much needed moisture to increase crops in the coming summer season, and it also serves as a layer of insulation that protects the soil from temperature swings, giving it a period of rest which helps it conserve organic matter and improve soil health. This is incredibly important in Iowa, which is known for its nutrient-dense soil that makes for good farming.
You want things living in your soil. It needs to be its own little community, essentially.
Iowa is the nation's #1 producer for corn, pork, and eggs. All of these products require Iowa's fertile soil. Recently, though, researchers from Iowa State released a report to the Des Moines Register saying that over the past 4 generations, Iowa's soil richness has decreased by half. Richness is determined by the amount of organic material in the soil, which is what contributes to Iowa's high crop yields. When levels of organic material are lower, farmers have to rely more on fertilizers and chemicals to get good yields.
A lot of times when a farm is in poorer shape, the issues start compounding on themselves.
However, farmers themselves don't seem to be similarly concerned about the researchers' findings.
I don't know if I'd say it's decreasing, at least in my time of us monitoring it. I would say it's been stable.
Instead, they say that their organic material levels are evening out or even increasing in some cases. They attribute this to modern sustainable farming.
I think we've seen a dramatic shift over the last 20 or 30 years in a lot of farm practices.
One of these practices is no-till. Tilling consists of stirring up the soil to prepare for the next crop. However, it also exposes more soil to the air, which breaks down the organic matter. Another is growing cover crops, which cover the soil and protect it from erosion. Some livestock farmers also have started implementing rotational grazing, which is a method where animals are systematically moved through different pasture areas to eat and fertilize the soil with their manure.
We did it 2 years in a row, and even after the first year, it was markedly better, the quality of the soil.
And depending on the farm, some farmers might use 1, 2, multiple practices. It's kind of one of those things, you know, always say there's not necessarily one right way to do it, but that we're looking for ways always to constantly improve.
Although these practices are becoming more common, there are still some farmers that are slow to adopt them.
There's very much a this is the way we've always done it mentality with everything.
So an increasing number of farmers do not own the land that they farm, they rent it. And if they know that they don't have a long-term agreement, if it's a rental agreement that's 1 year at a time or maybe 2 years at a time, they're going to tend to think very short-term and make short-term decisions that help them to try to make money on that high-risk investment they've made, but isn't necessarily good for the land long-term.
To combat this, more and more programs are becoming available to incentivize farmers to farm sustainably. Earlier this year, PepsiCo entered into partnerships with different agricultural groups to reward farmers for using certain practices. Large-scale farmers can also apply for government grants that will help them with the upfront costs of changing to these practices. As they watch these changes being implemented, Iowa farmers are hopeful for the future of the state's agriculture all year round.
I'm optimistic about the progress that we've made and that we continue to make.
In a state known so well for its farming, it's no wonder there's no off-season for Iowa agriculture. From one of the many farms in Iowa, Kara Doolin, DITV.
Johnson County's yearly affordable housing report showed the county as the highest percent of cost burden households in Iowa. The National Low Income Housing Coalition shows 55% of U.S. renters are considered cost burden, with 17% of homeowners as well. Johnson County Social Services Director Lynette Jacoby said affordable housing is an ongoing issue in the county due to increasing population and increases in housing supply combined with the high cost of living and low wages. She additionally said communities across the county are going to continue fighting as housing needs will only grow. For extremely low-income renters, there is a shortage of 57,191 homes for rent in Iowa. The United States Department of Agriculture recently released a list of violations committed by dog breeders across the country. DITV's Brady Barron has more on Iowa's breeders' violations.
From July to September of 2023, Iowa ranked number 4 in USDA dog breeder violations. This continues Iowa's trend of dog breeder violations, with Iowa having the most violations in the country in 2022. A kennel in Iowa City decided not to renew its license due to violations, one of which was due to the use of expired medication.
I think the standards for what's acceptable care seems like it's so low.
Some of the most common violations included improper housing, record keeping, and sanitation, with some inspectors finding dead dogs.
And there's no temperament testing, there's no really health checks on the adult dogs. They do get vaccinated on occasion, but that's a lot of times the only time they get any human interaction is negative by vaccinating or deworming them.
Iowa's status as a rural state is one of the main reasons for the large number of violations. Unlike animal shelters, puppy mills can go unnoticed, with small stacked cages, cold floors, minimal bedding, and a low amount of human interaction.
These producers are claiming that these are quote-unquote family farms, and these are family-raised dogs, whereas in truth they're treated like an agricultural product.
The best way to help out is to adopt from trusted and reputable locations like animal shelters. From Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, Brady Barron, DITV.
The Impact Life Blood Center has introduced individual donor assessments in Iowa City. DITV's Jace Bertrand is in the newsroom with more. Jace, can you tell us what this means for future blood donors?
Well, Johnny, Impact Life is hoping to make blood donations more open and more safe with these new assessments. The pre-donation screenings are designed to create more equitable standards for prospective donors by using gender-inclusive and individual behavior-based questions. The system was created after the FDA changed donor regulations May of this year. Previously, there was a blanket deferral for all men who have had intercourse with other men and women who have had intercourse with men who have had previously male partners. With the individual assessments, questionnaires have been revised to ask all donors about their sexual history, regardless of gender or identity.
the number one thing for Impact Life is we're just so glad that we can come to everyone in the same way and kind of meet people where they are and ask this new round of questions.
Impact Life hopes that these new assessments will allow for more opportunities for potential donors. Back to you, Johnny.
Thanks, Jace. Changes are coming to the University of Iowa Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department. Some of those rules now being set include students and employees are not required to say their pronouns. Employees must keep their political advocacy out of the department, and there will be a complete restructuring of all non-essential department offices. The Iowa Board of Regents approved these regulations after a study group conducted a month-long research project into the department. The University of Iowa is one of many universities across the nation making changes to the DEI department in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action. A task force will be created next spring to help implement these changes. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa is continuing to voice her support for Israel as the Israel-Hamas war continues. In a release yesterday, Ernst spoke about her experience at a peaceful support for Israel event. She also spoke out against anti-Semitic and violent protests from those supporting Gaza.
So folks, my message to these universities, these colleges, and K through 12 schools that assist and enable anti-Semitic hate speech, you should not have federal funding, period. That's not who we are as America. We stand with Israel.
At the University of Iowa, multiple protests have been organized since the war began. On campus, students have urged the university to stop supporting companies that aid Israel in the war and have made movements to support the Palestinian population in Iowa City. The Israel-Hamas conflict is further discussed in DITV's The Update, along with more news and politics.
Hello, I'm Jordan Tovar, and tonight on The Update, we'll be checking in on the protesters who were arrested at the Chloe Cole protest, take a dive into a state lawsuit to attempt to remove a controversial Iowa bill, and an update on the Israel-Hamas ceasefire.
But the proof that this is working and worth pursuing further is in every smile and every grateful tear we see on the faces of those families who are finally getting back together again.
That and a candidate profile on a state representative, where presidents will be stopping here in Iowa, checking your facts, and something for you to consider. All that on tonight's edition of The Update at 7 p.m.
The Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center was awarded a $4 million grant by the Environmental Protection Agency to improve their composting infrastructure. The center is currently able to process 15,000 tons of food waste, but with the EPA grant, the facility can process an additional 5,000 tons of food waste annually. Iowa City has been advocating for the implementation for compost for over a decade now, and their efforts to improve sustainability was the reason they were awarded the grant. A new student organization for Taylor Swift is established here at the university. Dedicated to the pop star Taylor Swift, the organization is a place for her and Hawkeye fans to listen to her music, analyze her wardrobe choices and song lyrics, and predict when her next album will be released. Swift's Eras tour has projected to rake in $5 billion for the U.S. economy, and Iowa City is victim to the Swift effect, with businesses like Big Rove and Gabe Iowa City hosting social events using her as a theme. Sorry about that, AJ. I'm not the biggest fan of Taylor Swift, and just kind of get through it.
It's kind of a crazy rave that's been going on across the country with Taylor Swift, and now it seems to have hit Iowa City.
Yes, it's hit it pretty big.
But this Saturday, the Iowa Hawkeyes will take on the number 2 ranked Michigan Wolverines, who have also taken over the country. But this weekend, they'll be in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship, and this will be the last championship that takes place before the conference expands to 18 teams and removes East and West divisions. Michigan, still undefeated, was named the clear favorite over Iowa, but when asked about being the underdog, the Hawkeyes still maintain a strong mentality for their upcoming game.
I don't know if we're the favorite. We're probably not the favorite this game, but you know, it's going to be up to us to just go out and play football and do our job.
Yeah, like I said probably a few times, we just love that underdog mentality. You kind of got nothing to lose, and you just go out there and have fun and play loose.
I'm playing the game for myself at the end of the day. I'm playing the game for the guys next to me, so you know, the game hasn't been played yet, so what people says, people think, and everything like that doesn't really matter.
This will be their first indoor game of the season. It'll be taking place in Lucas Oil Stadium, which luckily for both teams is indoors.
Just earlier I said it's going to be nice kind of knowing that I'm never going to have to punt. In crappy weather like again this year, which is kind of nice to know. But who's to say, you know, we might go play down in Florida and there might be a hurricane that strolls its way through.
And that's not the only thing Tori is smiling about. With the end of the regular season comes the All Big Ten Awards, and the Hawkeyes had a lot to smile about. Junior Cooper DeJean was named the Tatum Woodson Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year and the Rogers Dwight Big Ten Return Specialist of the Year. DeJean is the 6th Hawkeye to be named the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year since it was introduced in 2011, and he joins the likes of NFL stars such as Micah Hyde, Amani Hooker, and Desmond King. Torrey Taylor was named the Edelman Fields Punter of the Year. This is Taylor's 2nd time winning the award and is the first punter in league history to win it more than once. 12 total Hawkeyes earned all-conference honors, with DeJean, Taylor, and Jay Higgins making the first team. Sebastian Castro was named to the 2nd team, and Joe Evans, Nick Jackson, and Drew Stevens were all named to the 3rd team. And the Iowa men's wrestling team travels to Pennsylvania on Friday to take on Penn in a duel inside of the historic Palestra Arena. The Hawkeyes are coming off of their rivalry win over Iowa State from last weekend and are looking to move to 4-0 on the year. True freshman Gabe Arnold has been the standout wrestler for the Hawkeyes so far this season. Arnold made his debut for the Hawkeyes with a win over 11th ranked Travis Whitlake and actually went up a weight class when the Hawks went to Ames and upset number 6th ranked and All-American Will Feldkamp. Drake Ayala will open the duel for the Hawkeyes at 125 pounds on Friday. And the men's basketball team returned to Carver Hawkeye Arena tonight to take on Atlantic Sun Conference's 6th place North Florida. The Matthew Driscoll-led Ospreys lay claim to a very slow and unfortunate start. They have completed just under 35% of their shots so far this year, and compared to Iowa's almost 48 field goal percentage. They also have struggled keeping control of the ball, having 84 turnovers in only 7 games. And even so, like Iowa's football team, they have a winning 4-3 record. On the home side of the court, Iowa has a unique situation this year in regards to the team's depth. Here's what head coach Fran McCaffrey had to say about the ability to use more players than usual and how they all want to contribute.
Whether they start or not, they know they're going to play. And they might end up playing more than the starters, depending upon how the game goes. You know, it's not like, okay, we have 5 starters, we have 2 or 3 subs, and those guys know what their roles are, and they play that role.
The two teams have met only twice in the past, with Iowa winning both of those contests. The game will tip off at 8 p.m. on Big Ten Network. And yesterday, 2 members of the Hawkeye soccer squad earned first-team All-Region honors. 5th-year and friend of the program, Samantha Carey, and senior Macy Enneking were just the 3rd and 4th Hawkeyes to earn first-team regional honors. Both Carey and Enneking were also named to the All-Big Ten tournament team, as well as other postseason awards. During the regular season, Carey was named All-Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week 3 different times and was chosen as the Defensive Player of the entire Big Ten tournament. She also led Iowa to its 2nd NCAA tournament victory and the highest national ranking in program history. Alongside Carey, goalkeeper Macy Enneking earned the first-team All-Region honor as she set a new single-season record for Iowa with 12.5 shutouts. A lot of awards this weekend, Johnny, but some more weather coming up this weekend as well with the cold weather coming around.
Yes, AJ, but first we're going to talk about something I do like about the Christmas season. We're going to be talking about the Christmas trees here, Christmas trees, we like seeing them just really help out the community.
Absolutely.
And we're going to toss it back to Grace, who has a quick weather update for us.
Yeah, as a reminder, this week will be chilly, so remember to bundle up when going outside. It's recommended to wear lots of thin layers instead of one thick layer, along with gloves to keep warmer. Also, hats are definitely a game changer when stepping outside, as it's vital to keep your ears and head warm to prevent any sickness. It is key to remember to always stay warm and healthy this holiday season.
Thanks, Grace. And thank you for tuning in to DITV News and listening to KRUI 89.7 FM. Be sure to head over to the Daily Iowa website for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. For DITV News, I'm AJ Reister.
I'm Johnny Valtman. Have a wonderful Wednesday.